Yo, what's up everybody? So, welcome back. During the week, the car was playing up. On the way into work one day, I went to overtake a van, put my foot down to give the car some extra sort of boot, and all of a sudden it sounded as if launch control had kicked in. The car had gone nowhere, there was no joltiness, there was no jerkiness. Anyway, cut a long story short, the car had to go back to Rapid Mechanical because the steering wheel was ever so slightly out of line, so I just wanted them to double check it, and at the same time they took it for a test drive, and one of the techs there come back, he took me out in the car, and once we come back he said, yeah look, this is definitely some form of coil pack issue. I spent this morning checking all of my coil packs, and that is, so that's cylinder 4, so this is coil pack for cylinder 4, and there is a fracture here. And there was a crack literally from top to bottom on here. Now, I also have this with cylinder 2 and cylinder 3 as well. So basically 3 out of 4 cylinders have cracked coil packs. Luckily the car did come with a spare, so the previous owner changed a coil pack, but he didn't bother changing the rest of them. Or, you know, they weren't on their way, but obviously in time they have done. So what I've done is I've replaced cylinder 4 because it was the worst out of all of them in regards to the arcing marks, because you could see the arcing inside the tube. So basically I've put the good coil pack in there, so now cylinder 2 and 3 are both running with cracked coil packs, which is a bit of an issue. I am trying to source some as we speak. I've put a couple of posts out on Facebook, so I'm hoping someone comes back to me. In the meantime, the clocks you can see here I've disassembled. Reason being, the rev gauge would literally just sit like that regardless of what rev you was at. So there was plenty of guides online on how to disassemble the clock assembly, and you know, I'm not going to bother making another video because there's literally loads of them. They might be named slightly different. If you go on the SXOC forum as well, they tell you how to fix this, and it's basically a case of retouching some of the solder joins to basically remelt the solder. So I have done that, and you know, I'm not going to sit here and show you because it's quite a boringly tedious task. So I've done that to a few of them, mainly the bigger ones. I've let it cool down as well, so now I'm going to reinstall it back into here and put it in the car and see if that's fixed it. Okay, so here is the interior of the car. I've got obviously all the interior plastic bits off. That's the lens bit of the clocks. Now down here, I don't know why there's a cable tie or 2 cable ties, I don't know what it's doing, but down here originally behind the steering wheel there would have been, I think it's called the HICAS ring. I'm not too sure if that's correct, but it's basically a ring, like a ball bearing style, so that the wires don't get tangled up. So obviously this is the airbag, I believe this is the horn, what this is wired into. So this black wire literally just goes all the way up, feeds into here, and then joins in there somewhere, and that's obviously no good because it's just shit. So once the new boss comes, I'll be rewiring this, but at the minute I need to, because there's this plug here as well, and I just don't know where this plug goes to. And it's just getting on my nerves because I thought this was the plug for the horn, but it looks like this is the plug for the horn, or the wire for the horn. So I literally have no clue what is what, but I'm going to do a quick Google on it. And it still looks like it's not working. What I'm saying that might be. Oh, I might be wrong then. So the interior is back together. The tachometer, I don't know if it works properly. I need to sort of go out on a road test and see if it sorted itself out. I have a feeling no. So if I come across a set of second-hand clocks, I'm going to get them. At the same time, I also sorted out the airbag light, which would have been flashing around this area of the clocks. That was just a simple 2.7 ohm resistor, which you wire in between the two airbag wires. In this case they are the yellow and black, so you need to bridge the two with a 2.7 ohm resistor. Whilst I was down there, I also sorted out, you can't see it, but I sorted out the horn wire for the car because it was just a bit of a mess down there. I am going to order up a new Boss so that I can run a proper sort of system, not this shoddy Japanese piece of crap, sorry, Chinese piece of crap, so that my Japanese piece of crap works properly.
One eternity later.
Morning everyone, so we're out here tripping. No, we're actually at Silverstone today for Japfest. Second show of the year for me. I don't know how many Bob's done. How many you done so far?
Yeah, second as well, yeah.
So second show for the pair of us. We're just queuing at the minute, just off of one of the A roads that leads into Silverstone. So yeah, it's been an eventful morning. Bob's tried in chewing gum and it's stuck to his clutch pedal. Look at that madness! Look at that madness! Bob sprayed a shit ton of window cleaner to try and keep the pedal wet so it doesn't keep sticking to his shoe. Six, we've landed. We're on the modified network stand. So just quickly show you the cars. Got Bobby's S15, Gentleman's 350, I forgot his name, Air Ride, and some other trick bits. Probably going to be windy as fuck. But yeah, bagged, nice wheels. We've got Jack's 350 over there, and the other dude's MX5. I've forgotten everyone's name, which isn't handy, but yeah. Okay, so good morning. Today I will be hopefully sorting out the coil pack issue, the spark plugs being changed, and I'm also basically servicing the whole car because it's well overdue. I've had the car now for 4 months, and down to the car being in the shop and also the weather, I've not really had a chance to do it. But you know, the whole coil pack issue basically just prompted me into politely getting my arse in gear and just get cracking with it. Now, I didn't bore you guys with filming jacking up the car or draining the oil, but obviously undo the filler cap at the top, undo the oil at the bottom. The tray is 3/4 full. I'm just letting it dribble out. Once it's done dribbling out, I'll put the plug back on, or the sump plug back on, and then once that's done, I'll start filling it with oil. Take the oil filter off. But just for record purposes, I'll show you guys what the mileage is on the car at the minute. There we go. So the mileage is 126,745 miles. Now, I've read online that the oil filter can be a bit of a pain in the arse to get hold of. I can see it here, literally down through that gap. It's just there. I figured out how to remove the oil filter, and all you need is the actual tool to do it. Now, as you can see here, you're basically cramped and limited as to what you can do, and to basically get it, you need to put the pump pliers on their smallest setting, get it in here like that, and basically in this small gap here between the alternator and the chassis rail, you can grab with the pliers and lift up, because obviously left is loose and right is tight. So that should now, I've already loosened it because obviously I needed both hands, but that should now be loose, hand loose or finger loose, whatever you want to call it. So that should now just come off. Oh shit, there we have it. Okay, so I've just undone the oil filter and got the new one out. Now, aside from the noticeable size difference, this one being the new one being a lot larger and a little bit wider than the original oil filter, it doesn't actually fit. The gaskets are sort of in the right place, but the thread hole diameters are different. The original one's a lot bigger than the one that I've been sent out, therefore it does not actually bolt on. So I'm now stuck because obviously the car's got no oil filter on there. Luckily I've not done too much damage taking this off. I haven't pierced through anywhere. So I'm just going to basically try to fill this back up with fresh oil to clean it out, pour it out, put it in, and I'm praying that it works. So the oil filter's back on. I've put it on a little bit tighter than normal just because obviously I'm reusing a filter. So what I'll do is I'll order up a new one in the week. I've also filled the car with semi-synthetic. I thought I put fully synth, but I guess it's not a bad thing. Let the semi-synthetic do its thing and I can basically use it as a flushing oil. And maybe next weekend I'll redo the oil filter and oil. So there's a fuel filter. It's a direct replacement from Cytec Motorsport. It should be alright. I mean, the fuel filter that I took out didn't seem particularly old or anything, but it was just nice to replace that one. So just to confirm, I have replaced it. There we go, that's the old one in there. Old Blueprint one. I mean, judging by the internals of it, it wasn't that dirty anyway, but you know, I don't know what the previous person has done, so it's just nice to replace things like that. It's not a difficult job, it is just a fiddly job because you've got to undo the upper and lower hose, and you also get high off the smell of fumes when you're dropping that Momentum 99 everywhere. Next step, I'm going to replace all the coil packs and all the spark plugs. Shout out to Adam, who you guys would have seen in a previous part of the build. I bought the lower arms off of him, and he kindly had a spare set of coil packs knocking about. Pretty decent condition, no cracks or anything in them, so I'm going to get them swapped out, and I'll talk about the spark plugs in a little bit. Before I go ahead removing them, I've taken the retaining bolts out for the coil packs, but cylinder 1, 2 and 3 I left in. Obviously 1 is the good one, 2 and 3 are still cracked, but 4 was the one that I replaced, and upon replacing 4, because it was the worst out of all of them, the car has performed significantly better. But obviously these 2 are cracked, so they're going to be going into the bin, and I'll keep 1 and 4 as spares, but I'm going to replace all of them in one hit, and then I'll remove the spark plugs and show you guys. Right, so here's all 4 spark plugs, 1, 2, 3 and 4. The tips are as they should be. Obviously there's a little bit of carbon build up around the ends of the threads, but I think that's just where they're all, it's over fueling, and it's obviously causing the pop bang scenario. Right, okay, so these are the new spark plugs. They're the NGK BCP7ET. So the T on the end of that stands for triple, which is what the 3 contact points are. There, they should give a little bit of a better response, so that's what the sort of normal plug is like, and that's what the T is like. So I'm hoping that reduces the pop banging, just gives off a better spark, which in turn gives me a little bit more power. So the new spark plugs are in, and now it's time to put the new coil packs in and basically turn the engine on and make sure it's all running right. Right, so it's all back together again. I'm just going to check the oil and then I will start the car. Lovely, so the car is running really well. Wait for this knobhead to go past. The shit I have to put up with living around here, but anyway, yeah, so the car runs fine, sounds spot on. Obviously let it get up to temperature, gave it a good rev. Yeah, just sounds good. So check the oil filter as well. There's no sort of physical leaks out of there. The exhaust does build up quite a bit of condensation. I think that's to do with the amount of different sizes it's made from. So it's just giving off condensation. Had a quick smell of the exhaust, and it's not burning too much fuel. It smells still a little bit fuely, but I'd rather it run rich because of the sort of setup that it is. Yeah, so overall I'm chuffed, and on to the next bit for today. So when I bought the engine, it's absolutely caked in oil and road grime, both above and below. So I'm gonna basically get the TFR, so traffic film remover. I'm going to split it down on a ratio of 1:1, so 1 part water, 1 part TFR, and I'm just going to cake the engine in it and then get the jet wash out and get crack-a-lacking. Okay, so I've got the pressure washer out, I've got the pressure tub out, and I've filled it with a 1:1 ratio. I've already tried cleaning it up with an old wheel brush and it's made some difference already. Just on thicker areas it's not really done a lot, but I've got in there and it's already cleaning it up quite a bit, so I'm just going to get the pressure washer in there now and just go ham. Remember it before, this was basically caked in oil, road grime, grit and whatever else has built up on it over the years. That bracket there is still a little bit oily. I mean, I tried putting more on it and also agitating, but that might be a case of having to get out a heavier duty spray or brush. But yeah, I got sort of in there, I got in as far as I could without sort of touching any electrical points. I got in through here, taking out any other spots down there. Where else did I do? Also done in here, so that's a lot cleaner now. You can actually see that the pipes are silver in colour. So you've got pipe runs down there. I'll try to get in under here with the jet wash just to get into if there's any leaks from the turbo and whatnot, you can actually spot it. But like I say, I think if I want to do a more sort of thorough job, I'm going to have to remove the intercooler piping, potentially the turbo manifold, and just anything that's in the way here to get into there. But moving on, underneath the car, there we go. It's so much cleaner, no grime, no grit, and looks 10 times better. Okay, so I'm going to just leave the car now to dry and do its thing. I'm going to lock it up. I'm just going to go in and have my Sunday roast, your dinner, and then you get tea if you're northern, but if you're from down south it's lunch and dinner, not dinner and tea. Tea is what you drink.
One eternity later.
Hello, so on the drive into work this morning, basically put my foot down, happy days, all was going well. Then I basically put my foot down a little bit more and the car started to misfire again, but not as bad as it was doing previously. Now, I thought I've put new core packs in, they're not cracked, the condition's good, so I thought, right, let's start from basics and go with spark plugs. So obviously the one variable I changed was the spark plugs. Obviously I ran with these, the BCP7ET, which has the triple electrode, and upon basically removing the spark plugs out of the car, I could see why. Right, so basically I've put the old spark plugs back in and gave them a clean, but this is the condition that the spark plugs come out on. This is cylinder 4, and obviously it's got quite a bit of deposit, carbon build-up deposit there, but the other spark plugs, I'll show you those as well. The other spark plugs basically looking like this. Now, I had a quick look on a spark plug condition chart, and basically this is running too hot, so essentially the car is running lean because it's burning the fuel too quickly. The characteristics of the car, usually it would pop and bang and, you know, you'd have a blah 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 blah, and it was doing the odd grumble and it was doing the odd pop and bang, blah 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 blah, but not as much. So I thought, right, maybe the spark plugs are running too hot or they're gapped too small or whatever. So basically I've put the old spark plugs back in. I'm gonna see how they run. Fingers crossed they run better and the whole car runs smooth. If not, then obviously I've got another issue elsewhere, so it won't be the spark plugs, it won't be the core packs, could potentially be the wiring, but until further diagnostics really, I won't know. But for now, that is it. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. It's a bit of a nightmare, this car, I'm not going to lie. The Civic seemed easy going in comparison to the 14, But I do love it. It's a new challenge. Gets your old brain ticking, and I guess that's what sort of keeps it going and keeps it fun. I don't want it to turn into a massive civic project. I don't want to be ripping engines out, and I don't want it to become like a mad diagnostics finding problem car. I just want it so that I can drive it. So yeah, I'll keep the video short and I'll keep it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. Stay safe, guys, and I'll see you next time.